does high investment on Varka save him? Let's talk about it. My name is Juice, and let's get into it. So we all know that C0R0 Varka is pretty underwhelming, even in his best in slot team. But the real question is, if you're a really dedicated Varka fan and you really want to see this character shine, will high investment save him? You don't care about the value proposition, you don't care if putting that investment into someone else would technically be better, you just want to see Varka succeed. Well, in such a case, I do actually have pretty decent news for you, because yes, high investment is actually able to help out the character a decent amount. Now, I will reiterate, if you are looking at this from a purely meta standpoint, you would ideally rather put any investment that you would put into Varka into any other 6-point-X DPS. That much is pretty obvious, but even so, that's not really the point of this video. What I'm trying to get at here is if you're a Varka fan that wants to see Varka do well, does high investment help him out? And I actually do believe so. The most important thing that you can get for Varka that I am really going to emphasize is that you really want his signature weapon. Like, it is an insane increase for him. It is astronomically better than literally any other option that you can give him, and compared to other DPSs in the last couple of months, he needs a signature weapon more than any past DPS has in quite a long time. Getting his SIG is probably one of the most important points of investment that you can get for your Varka. Genuinely, if there is anything that I can recommend that you do for this character, get his SIG. It is the first thing that you should be aiming for. It is absolutely excellent for him. So definitely make sure that you get his signature weapon. Above all else, I really want to emphasize, if you care about Varka's performance, get the R1. It is really gonna help him out, and it's automatically going to make his performance so much better than without it. Like, seriously, it's insane how good it is for him. I really wanted to emphasize that because Varka's SIG is genuinely going to help you out so much in terms of his performance already. Like, genuinely, it's a nutty increase. So, above all else, if you want to invest more into Varka, that should be at the top of your priority list. If anything, I think that if you're going for Varka in general, you should plan to get his signature, and if you can't get his signature right now and you have Venti and Durin, just keep using those two until Varka's rerun and then get him in his SIG. Like, seriously, it is just that good for him. He is going to feel so much better with it. So that's one thing. His SIG, really nice, really cool, already makes his performance significantly better than without. Alright, excellent. What else can you do to help out your Varka? In terms of his own constellations, C1 isn't necessarily the strongest on him, but it is at least going to put him on the level of other not cry DPSs at C0. A C1 R1 Varka, with the R1 being integral, this does not count for C1 R0, you need the R1 to be included for this statement to be valid, is going to be at least around the level of other C0 R1 not cry DPSs. So C1 R1 Varka equals C0 R1 on other not cry DPSs. And I would say that is pretty much how you can save the character. At least getting his C1 R1. It's definitely not going to be exactly the same, but it at the very least makes him closer to those other characters in performance. So yes, going the extra kilometer and investing more into him does actually help out his performance in a way that you might not have expected. After all, how can a singular constellation save a character this cooked? Well, that's because the constellation's not doing the work, it's the signature weapon. Like, genuinely, the signature weapon is so important here. It's really the main thing you need to get. I'm really pushing for that here. You need this signature if you want to see this character perform super good. So, that's one thing. C1R1 is great. C0R1 is also fine, and that's also going to be pretty decent. And the C1 doesn't necessarily change much, even if it is going to be a nice increase for him, but the weapon is the real key to success here. Now, if you give him C2 R1, now we're finally talking about something more substantial here. At this point, Varka is actually going to feel sufficiently quite strong, and he's going to feel pretty powerful, all things considered. So, with that in mind, C2 R1 Varka is honestly pretty good. And I think that if you're worried that higher investment Varka isn't going to feel good because his baseline is so bad, I wouldn't really be worried about that, and even then, I'm saying his baseline is so bad, when in reality it's just mediocre compared to other 6-point-X units. It's still ultimately an okay baseline. But even so, the point stands that if you were worried that his high investment wasn't going to impress you, don't worry about that. His high investment is honestly pretty solid. So, all things considered, I think that if you're planning to get constellations on him, your performance is probably going to be better than you expect. It's not going to be complete buns, and you're going to be relatively happy with what you end up getting. So don't really worry about it too much. Your Varka is still definitely going to perform, and yes, if you're looking at it from a value perspective, you could put that into other units, and it would be better, but that's besides the point. Varka himself is going to be good at C2R1, and same situation as before, remove the R1, and suddenly the case gets a lot more cooked. Though I will say his own C2 is definitely a lot better than his own C1. So yes, Varka high investment, yeah, it does save him, it just does. So I'm not gonna say this character is constellation locked or he was made like this on purpose because you need to get his constellations. I don't really think that's the case, because I do believe there is a missing slot in the Hexerai team. Varka is obviously being made as the premium DPS for the Hexencircle team, but unfortunately, he just seems to be missing something. Currently, the 4th slot in his best-in-slot team is Bennett. Bennett is not a Hexerai character. He didn't receive any Hexerai buffs. Thank goodness, that would have broken the game, to be honest. But in any case, he still has one non-Hexerai character in his best-in-slot team. That is a perfect little spot for some other character to come and fill and provide Varka with nice, significant buffing. So with that in mind, the road may not be over here for Varka high investment. There may honestly still be pathways that you can take to invest more into this character. Now that is just me coping, because I want to believe that C0R1 Varka is going to be better, and obviously I want to see C0R0 Varka get better, because right now C0R0 Varka is just in a ridiculously rough position, and not everybody gets signature weapons for their DPSs, because that's just expensive to get. I know that there's plenty of people that prefer to just get a good generalist 5-star weapon and use that on different DPSs of certain weapon types. That is something that quite a lot of people do. But with Varka, you do ideally want his particular signature weapon. It is really good for him. And then in terms of his own teammates, Venti did get buffs, so investing into him isn't necessarily a bad idea anymore, though I wouldn't prioritize it over Varka investment. And then Durin, his own constellations are also pretty good, so if you end up getting those, that's also going to be good for Varka. But ultimately, the main thing you want to prioritize above literally anything is his Sig. Genuinely. I really mean it. I wouldn't have repeated it like 10 times by now if I didn't really mean it. That is the thing you should be prioritizing with this character, no matter what. Now, I'm hoping he does get another Hexerai buffer on the end of his team, because this would then complete his team, and while it would make him expensive, it would at least mean that if you invest a lot into him, he is definitely going to feel powerful and feel like he was worth the investment that you poured into him. He's obviously never going to be a truly accessible character. I mean, in a sense he is, because he does have 4-star teams. It's just that his 4-star teams aren't the strongest, and at C0R0, he definitely misses out on a lot. Like, it's kind of not how much you want a signature weapon. It's pretty significant how much of a difference that is, so yeah. Now, obviously, if you're looking at this from a purely meta angle, there are 1,000 other different investments that you can make with 6.x units that would technically be better. This much is true, but the thing is, there's just some of us that really like Varka, and we want to see Varka do well. And for people like us, at least this is something. Now, thankfully, I myself was already saving up for Varka constellations because I absolutely love him, and I really want to get his constellations, so at least this is good news for me. And I would say that if you're somebody that really wants to use this character, and you're kind of upset by how everybody's been doom posting him, how I myself have been saying he's just not really that good, then at least this is something that you can do. Now, I will say that if you're a free-to-play, and the only thing you can get is C0R0, but you at least have his best-in-slot team, he'll be fine. He's just not going to be very good. Like, I will be honest, I'm not going to pretend like he's going to be good without a Sig, because he is just going to be mediocre and kind of underwhelming without a Sig. But if you can at least get that, if you can at least get his Sig, the situation is nowhere near as bad as you would expect. I will say that a lower investment Varka is just cooked. Like, there is a reason I've been saying this guy is cooked, because he just is, and I'm not gonna say he's good when he's just not. But I will say that at least there are ways to make him better, and even though he's never really gonna be a free-to-play friendly character, it's just not happening with how even his future seems to be filled with more 5-star characters that you'd have to get for him. At least it looks like Hoyoverse doesn't intend for this character to remain weak. At least that's my hope. And even if he doesn't get fixed, you can just save up for his constellations if you're passionate enough about this particular character. So, I myself really like Varka. I'm gonna be getting his constellations, and you don't need to be worried about his constellations being bad. And if you're someone that wasn't planning on getting his cons, but you're wondering how to make him better, then yes, getting his constellations is gonna help out with your situation. Ultimately, he definitely did get the short end of the stick in terms of 6.x characters. I think literally nobody is denying that. And while that sucks, that doesn't mean that this is a character that has completely no hope. He has something going for him. So, at least that's nice. I'm happy about it. I'm excited for Varka next week. I'm personally really hyped to pick him up myself. Hopefully this video is able to tell you whether Varka's high investment saves him or not. This has been Juice, signing out, and even if he had the worst constellations in the game, I would still be getting them.